Hey everybody, well, the dawn has arrived. Just a few hours ago, I got out of seeing Batman v Superman, The Dawn of Justice, and I'm here to give it a little bit of a review. Now, this review will contain no actual talk of the movie's plot points, so this is a spoiler-free review. I will be posting a further discussion in another video that will have some spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, don't worry, I'm not going to give away any of the movie's plot points, okay? So let's dig into it. Now, this movie is getting ripped to shreds by the critics, and they have a lot of valid points. This movie is kind of a mess at times, but there are some really great things about this movie, and let's talk about those first of all. First things first, Batman. Ben Affleck has set himself a place at the Batman table with Christian Bale and Michael Keaton. He is a phenomenal Batman. He plays the Bruce Wayne part very well. He has a great emotional arc in this film, and it's nice to see a little bit of a different take on Batman. I thought Ben Affleck did an amazing job. He is jacked in this film, and he does a really good job. Another great thing about this movie was the action sequences. I thought that the final battles, if you will, were really well done. The one thing that Marvel comic book movies don't do that so far the DC universe has done well is the comic book style action sequences. And the fighting felt just like it was out of the page of a comic book. So there's some great fights or some great action sequences within this movie that are really, really great. The performances of Wonder Woman and Superman and a lot of the characters, there's a lot of good things about this movie. There's some really good acting in it. There's some great fights and sequences like that. Jesse Eisenberg does a phenomenal job as Lex Luthor. He is very much a puppet master, pulling the strings, and he does such a good job of playing that, you know, that kind of psychotic, crazy criminal mastermind. So, yeah, Jesse Eisenberg does a fantastic job. I know a lot of people were very critical of both him and Ben Affleck, you know, his place in these movies, but I think that they both did an amazing job and definitely proved their distractors, you know, were wrong. Let's talk about some of the bad things about this movie. At times, it's a bit of a mess. There's a lot of stuff jam-packed into this movie, and it didn't feel long, but there were times where I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up. So I think this movie actually probably would have been better suited. I think once they realized that this movie was going to reach about 3 hours total, that they probably should have cut it back. Now, they did cut about 40 minutes out of that, so the movie is only around 2.5 hours, but that's still kind of long. Could have very easily been, you know, chopped in half and made 2 movies. They do a very good job at times of balancing that light and dark between Batman and Superman's worlds in telling their stories, but probably would have been better served as having them as 2 separate tales. One thing that I thought about this movie, you know, as I was walking out was it felt like if I was watching like a gymnast do her routine. And this gymnast decided to just do every jump she's ever learned, ever. And each time she does a move or does a tumble or a jump, she's doing it better and better and better. And every move is more impressive than the next and the next and the next. And then she gets to the end and she falls flat on her face. And that's kind of how I felt like this movie was. There was a lot of stuff jam-packed into it, and none of it was bad, but it wasn't put together well. And then the ending, I'll talk about the ending in my spoiler edition, but I wasn't really happy with the ending. I don't think it told the story properly. It did set up the future Justice League movies, which is what this film was intended to do. But I don't really, like I said, I'll talk more about that in my spoiler edition. So that's really about it. It is a very good movie. I know the trailers seemed like they gave quite a bit away, and perhaps maybe they gave too much away. That's a fair assessment. the trailers did a really good job of telling you what the story was, but I think there are a lot of twists and turns that the trailers don't tell you about, and there's a lot of things that I found myself surprised by that this movie kind of brought to light. And even having seen all of the trailers, I felt like there was stuff that I didn't know was going to happen. There were about 2 or 3 points in this movie where I was like, wow. So overall, it is a very good movie. If you're a fan of Batman or Superman, I think you will like this. If you're a fan of Wonder Woman, I'm pretty sure you'll like this. Seeing her on screen for the first time was amazing. Gal Gadot did a fantastic job playing Diana Prince and then Wonder Woman, and they felt like they were 2 separate personas for her. She does an amazing job. She's definitely not any kind of, damsel in distress in any way. She is strong from beginning to end, and I thought that was really cool. I think Zack Snyder dropped the ball a little bit, so I'm a little worried about the future Justice League movies. But overall, I really did like this movie. In spite of its flaws, and it has a great many flaws, there is so much to like about this film. So if I focus on only those things, I really, really liked this movie. As a whole, like I said, it's not perfect. Those critics' reviews and those critics' poor ratings and things like that, I think they're slightly unfair to a point, but they do have some validity to them. So if you get a chance to go see it, check it out. It's definitely a very good movie. There are a lot of wonderful things. It is definitely leaving the audiences happy and excited. I don't know anybody who walked out of that movie being so disgusted with it or thinking it was awful. So people had some issues with the ending, but otherwise I think everybody was pretty pleased. So like I said, get a chance to check it out. Definitely, I definitely recommend it, okay? And like I said, once you get to watch it, check in and join the discussion in my spoiler video that'll explain a little bit more of what I thought about the movie. All right, thanks for watching.